You said you'd come. Now let's hope you're not too late.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Long talks. Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it. Long talks. Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it. Long talks. Talk just a little bit, just for the sake of it. Say what you think of it.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 58 of the Wulong Talks podcast. My name is Jason. I'm the host of the show, as you know. And thank you for joining us and thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our previous episode, the memorial episode for Stan Lee's passing. If you haven't checked that out yet, please do go and have a listen to that. You can find that wherever you pick up your podcasts. So just make sure you pop along onto whichever app you're using and scroll down the list and you'll see it right there. We're back again. We're feeling good. We've got a very special guest with us as well, who I'm going to introduce to you in a moment. But first of all, if he's finished chewing on his fucking nuts or whatever shit it was he was eating, Rich Kid, the Rustling Kid, is in the house. Rich Kid.
What's happening? I'm still sad about Stanley. I'm still upset about Stanley. I was comfort eating. You know what? Quickly, like to anybody who's going to listen to the podcast that we did yesterday in memorial of Stanley, me and Jason actually forgot to add one story, and we'll probably tell the story on the next podcast. But we actually got the chance to actually have a sit-in on a Q&A with Stanley. Jay, I don't know how we forgot that, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. After we finished recording, I was like, oh, damn, we didn't mention the Q&A session we got to attend. But yeah, definitely we'll do that on the next one for sure. For sure, because we'll be chatting about conventions and stuff anyway. But anyway, listeners, as you know, the Rustling Kid is here, but as I said, we also have a very special guest with us. We're delighted to welcome along Marquita to the Wulong Talks podcast. For those of you that don't know, Marquita is a cosplayer. She's a gamer. She's been a big fan of our show, and she's been a great support to us as well ever since we started, really. So, Marquita, welcome. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Feels very formal.
Well, we tried to
give it time. Give it time. Yeah, Jason, give it time. Just give it time.
we tried to give the veneer of professionalism over here, but it's just a veneer. Right. So once you scratch underneath the surface, you'll see it's all fucking chaos, really. But yeah, man, welcome.
It's good to finally be here. It's only taken a few years.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I was just here just eating.
Yeah, listeners, we've known Marquita now for a couple of years, and it's been a pleasure to have her as a friend and somebody who, comes with us to a lot of social events and a lot of the geeky things that we do. And yeah, we've been trying to twist her arm to come onto the show, and she's finally agreed. So we're going to try and be as nice as possible to her, and we expect you to do the same as well. So yeah, shut up, sit down and listen to what she has to say, because she's got a lot of interesting experiences to share with you. But yeah, Marquita, I mean, I guess we've got to start with the obvious question, really, which is, how did you kind of first get into geek culture, really? Was there like kind of a gateway thing that you started with? Was there a comic book that you first remember reading, or a TV show or something like that?
My mum, to be honest, she is a massive anime fan.
Okay.
And back in the day, so when I was really tiny, let's say 4 or 5 years old, I shouldn't have been, but I was watching her anime that she used to buy and have on the VHS in the house. So I was watching things like A Legend of the Overfiend, Urotsuka Doji, and watching things like Ninja Scroll, Tank Police, Guyver, all of that. Actually, at the age that I was, but she never knew, so it's fine, isn't it?
Sorry.
Go on.
Continue. No, continue.
Yeah. So.
yeah.
What? Are you gonna ask a
The
question
cat.
or?
No, the cat. Just continue.
Oh,
You continue talking. Don't worry. The cat.
So that was really my first my first foray really into the anime sort of geek world, and then I started watching child safe animations like Pokemon and Dragon Ball, and then I had a couple of years how I wasn't, and then I came back maybe when I was about 17, and I started watching Bleach. Bleach got me back into anime, so I binge watched that. Then that finished, and then ever since then I've just been watching all the shonens, apart from One Piece, because I refuse to sit down and watch 8,000 episodes of anything at this current moment in time. and that's here we are. There wasn't really much of a. I've never been a comic book fan. Like, I never really watched any or DC related, but it's so commonplace, and my mom knew so much information. If I had any questions, I would just ask her, and she would just list it off the top of her head, because her older brother used to collect the comics, and she used to steal them from him and read them when she was little. So she would just tell me things, and then I would watch like Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, the original X, the classics. That was my cartoon life growing up.
So you said your mom reads comics?
Well, she used to, when she was in, and then it was more of an anime, and then but she knows all the old backgrounds of things from years ago.
Your mom sounds kind of fit.
Hey.
Okay, interesting.
That's it, really.
That's cool, man. I mean, it sounds like it was a real kind of family affair for you, really, in terms of your introduction to all of this kind of thing. And I can't lie, it makes me kind of jealous, because I wish I had family like that who would, encourage me to get into kind of comic books and anime and things like that. It was all kind of a journey of self-discovery, really, for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it kind of shows how, these kind of things can be more enjoyable when you share a common interest with your parent. You can gain much more from that. Because I know with, listeners, obviously we know Marquita for a period of time, but you're quite a keen cosplayer, and you're into cosplay. You've been to Comic-Cons before in cosplay, and your mum cosplays from time to time as well. I mean, does she tend to do it every Comic-Con, or is it just a now and again thing that she does?
Well, we both started cosplaying at the same time. I think we'd come to a few Comic-Cons, and then one month we just thought, you know what, let's do it. Everyone else does it, so we did it. And then my first cosplay I did was Natsu from Fairy Tail. Pink hair and all sorts. So it's quite an interesting experience, getting on. This is before we started driving there. And we would get on the train and literally sit on it from one end of the Jubilee line to the other. And it would the looks we would get as we were walking up the high road, you're dressed all in loads of random colors. I can't remember what my mum's first one was she did, but she's done Rogue. She did someone from My Hero Academy last time, Todoroki. And who else has she done? She's done Harlequin. Harlequin's been her favorite one. She's done that one. She's worn that one quite a few times. And she's done Poison Ivy as well.
Okay.
And then her boyfriend also takes part, but he doesn't really he just kind of does his own take on an apocalypse style person from the future, just long coat and a Kevlar vest, and he has a massive bag, and then he paints random symbols on his face and stuff. So it's fun. I don't know what made me start doing the cosplay. I used to dress up for Halloween with a friend for quite a few years. So I kind of always had like the confidence to do it, but it was just a case of finding something I wanted to dress up as. And then went from that to spawned the Vegeta in various forms, which I really enjoyed doing. And I recently redid some of the armor, so I might do that again at another event. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Cool. And what would you say has been your favorite cosplay that you've done so far? The one that you've kind of gotten the most joy out of, really?
My favorite one was Margin Vegeta. And I think that was the Comic-Con where I actually bumped into you guys and your third person who's kind of MIA. Yeah. So, and that was the one that I got the most kind of, I was approached a lot for. That particular cosplay, and I also bumped into a girl who had painted herself pink and was Majin Buu, which was fantastic because Majin Vegeta and Majin Buu, they're from the same arc, it's the same storyline, isn't it? So that was, you know what? That was quite fun as well.
So sorry to interrupt, because you just said like they're from like the same storyline, and then I was silent and Jay went, But you know what? I don't even know what you're talking. I know the characters' names and everything, but like you've done quite a few cosplays. What's the difference between that Vegeta that you just said is your favorite one, and let's say like another Vegeta that you may have done?
Okay,
just for the people out there who may not watch DBDM Dragon Ball.
So I've done Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, the first half when he first turns up. So when him and Nappa are actually fighting the Z fighters, when he still has his tail. So I had a tail and I had the full armor and everything. Well, not full armor, just a weird girly version of it. And then after that, Margin Vegeta is another storyline that happens later on. And I think is that one after Cell? Yeah. And then I didn't really watch the full Majin Buu storyline till years after it had finished, because just for some reason when it was on, I was in like high school when it was on, so I wasn't really paying attention to it. And yeah, so we've got Margin he's a weird looking creature magician thing, and he like brainwashes some creature or something. I can't remember it right off the top of my head right now. But yeah, he actually Majin Buu is actually very common to see on because he's the pink with the weird looking antenna. He basically looks like a piece of bubble gum. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He looks
a bit kind of dumpy, innit?
Like a condom, right?
Yeah, well, he's actually got 3 evolutions, because obviously it's Dragon Ball, so everybody's got to have different levels of power up in it. So there's the fat friendly version, which is quite common, which everyone knows, and then he has another version after that, and then he's got which is quite very lean, very muscular, and then he's got another evolution after that where he's even stronger, even more nutty and psycho, and he just runs around beating everyone up, turning them into candy and eating them.
In fact, you know who else reminds me of?
It's an interesting storyline.
he reminds me of Patrick from SpongeBob. Yeah, it does. I can see it right in my head right now. He looks like Patrick.
yeah, he does. He does look like Patrick, actually. Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I was trying to remember. Actually, the magician is they're not very original when they pick these names. His name is Bibbidi, and he has and then there's Bobbidi. And then I think there was another one I can't remember. Like it was years ago I've watched it. So yeah, like I mean it's a bit like Bibbidi Bobbidi and Boo. So you got Bibbidi Bobbidi and then Majin Buu. So there we go. There's the connection. And then I did from Dragon Ball Super. I did Vegeta in blue, Super Saiyan blue. Yeah. That was it.
Is that my eyes?
Those are the 3 versions. Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. That's the blood boil, but yeah. That was so those were the 3 that I did, but the Majin Vegeta was my favorite.
Okay. Alrighty.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like what your cosplay process is, do you kind of
Yeah.
have a specific set of characters that you want to cosplay, and then you kind of pick one out of those, or is it that you just get inspiration, one morning when you wake up and you go, oh, I should do a cosplay of this guy, or is there kind of a process there, or is it just like a random thing? Is basically what I'm asking, I suppose.
Usually it's from something I've been watching recently. Like my last cosplay was Edelgard from How Not to Summon a Demon Lord.
Mm-hmm.
It only appeared in it like 2 or 3 episodes out of 12. Like I thought she was a really cool character, and that was my first attempt at making a weapon, which I think turned out pretty well, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures.
Yeah, it was. I tend to just pick. I don't know. If it's a costume is something I've never done before and I want to try and have a go at it, then I will. That will stick in my mind. If the character is badass, then that will usually stick in my mind. Also, I quite like to choose, like, say if it's quite a popular anime, so like My Hero Academy at the moment is a really big one, and I did Momo Yaoyorozu, who is one of the characters, but she's not one of the main characters, and I did her as a cosplay a couple Comic-Cons ago, and quite a few people actually recognized me and was as the character, and was like, oh, that's a really good it's a really good anime, you've done well. And I like that, because you see too many people like to do the main characters. So every Comic-Con you're gonna have, it's like, how many Harleys from Suicide Squad can you have? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing.
Mm.
And then there's also like, you count how many Deadpools you're going to see. You can count how many Spider-Mans you're going to see. You can, same with the anime, you can count how many really bad Vegeta wigs you're going to see, really bad Goku wigs you're going to see. And like, there's so many of the main characters from My Hero Academy. There's a million Dekus, there's a million Todorokis, because these ones, they're just, I guess they're main characters because everyone finds them so lovable, and that's why they want to cosplay them. But I tend to try and go for the more sort of, the person's there, but just a bit more like something I try to do something that I haven't really seen wandering around Comic-Con, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean that's something that, I mean, me and Rich have always kind of said in all the years we've been going to cons, is that as much as cosplay is a wonderful thing and a great way for people to kind of express their love for whatever it is they're geeky about, and express part of their own personality, you do tend to get a lot of, as you said, Deadpool, Harley Quinn, and there isn't much originality there. It's almost like you can do cosplay bingo, and you can have like a list of characters on a card and go, yep, you're going to see one of those, you're going to see one of those, you're going to see one of those, you're going to see one of those. And I suppose it's, it's understandable. Those characters and those things are popular. So of course people are going to want to naturally gravitate towards that. But it's always, the more we've kind of gone to conventions, the more that we found that it's the original cosplays that have kind of caught the eye more for us, and the way people kind of have approached that. I mean, you would agree, right, Rich?
Oh yeah, but the thing is, I mean, if you think about it, like you said, you see like a dozen Harley Quinns and a dozen Deadpools and a dozen Captain Americas, but there's actually nothing better. There's no better feeling than when you see somebody and nobody's paying them attention, but you know who that character is. When you ask them to take a picture, or you call them, like, obviously you don't know them by name. So if somebody is, say, dressed up like, remember that kid, the Comic-Con, then where basically nobody was, before Benedict Cumberbatch, this is a story, like listeners, before Benedict Cumberbatch had been casted as Doctor Strange, we went to a Comic-Con, and there was a little kid, he must have been about 8, maybe 8 or 9, and he was dressed like Doctor Strange, but I'm talking like, had the mustache, had like little goatee. His mum had painted like little streaks in the sides of his hair to show his age, and number one, he'd chosen a character that not even adults were doing. That's number one. Number two, his costume was, I mean, amazing. Like I've actually never seen anybody like top his costume. And then number 3, I'm not sure exactly what was up with him, but there was he had like crutches. So he had some form of a affliction, with, let's say, like the lower half of his legs, in which he wasn't able to walk properly. And like you just said, Jason, and you've said as well, Marquita, where when people do cosplay, it's almost like there's an extension of their personality in who they choose and who they portray. I remember being at that con and seeing loads of people and seeing quite a few good cosplayers, and I saw this guy and he stuck out, and I remember going to him, you know what, can I take a picture of you? And I was like, that's a really, really cool costume. And his mum turned around to us and was like, you know, thank you, he's really going to appreciate that. And it wasn't the thing of like we were just doing it because he's like a little kid. It was just a thing of that, you know what, well done. Like, you know, no one else has done what you've done. You've just gone out there and you just smashed it. But it's the ones that stick out. That always stay in my mind. And when you point it out to them, like the look of happiness in their face is equally as satisfying as like recognizing the character that they're playing that other people might not recognize. So yeah, that's definitely how I feel about cosplayers.
I saw actually at the last Comic-Con, which you guys missed. I saw the guy from Labyrinth, when he's what is his singer?
Do you mean David Bowie's character?
Have you seen Labyrinth? David Bowie, yes. Someone was there dressed as him, and I just literally looked at him and I started singing the song. And then my mom was staring at me like, what are you singing? I'm like, look, it's the guy. And then he looked at me, he started laughing and singing as well. And it was that scene where they go like, you remind me of the babe with the power, and that whole thing. And that was like a classic to me growing up. Like I had it on tape, and I think I've got it on DVD now. I made sure I upgraded. Like that was a fantastic film, and I've never seen that anyone cosplay him before, and I was just like, that is wicked. So
yeah, that's cool, man. That's a really cool story. Yeah, and as said, it's definitely, you know, the originality that kind of stands out. And I think definitely, you know, one of the things listeners to do is to definitely check out some of Marquita's photos. She'll let you know where you can find her later on, but she's taken some really good photos of some of her cosplays that she's done in the past, and also given a bit of insight into the process of actually putting a cosplay together, because I think that's something that a lot of people are interested in cosplay but don't really know like how to start or where to go off the ground. And you know, I think what you've done with that is really useful to people. So you know, that was a really good idea. Was that at the back of your mind when you started doing that, just kind of showing people, you know, the nuts and bolts of how you put these things together?
Do you know what? It wasn't really in my mind. It was just a case of you don't really see a lot. Like, it's easy to find like YouTube videos on like how to sew things and how to do this, that, and the next, but you don't see much. Like, cosplay is not like a not for me anyway. I'm sure for some people it is that I follow. They do some really elaborate stitching and sewing on their gowns and things. So like, there's so much last minute in cosplay. So like, your hot glue gun is your holy grail kind of thing. So you just learn to get creative with it. Like I completely forgot the Lady Legacy. I did a version of Raven from Teen Titans Go. All the jewelry that I did was made from hot glue. And I made a video and I put that on. That's on my YouTube. And yeah, that was just like all I could think was, how can I make this? Because I don't want to buy a resin kit, because I don't see myself making much more jewelry in the future. So I had a hot glue gun, colored hot glue sticks. So I just bought glitter sticks and just started messing about, basically. And then filmed it and put it up. And then I've also got a regular Raven with the is it more of the original, an older Raven? Yeah, it's not Raven from Teen Titans. It's a much older Raven she's got the long like navy blue or dark purple gown and cloak that I was gonna do. I've got for like the Comic-Con in October when it's really cold, because that's like pure velvet and just ridiculously warm. So I'll probably wear that next year or something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And it's funny, I was just about to ask you about that as well, about coping with the cold. Because I know
Yeah.
that's one thing when I'm queuing up to go to a con and I see certain costumes, I'm like, wow, I don't know how you're coping with that, mate, because that cold is serious.
Yeah, it's maybe we're the women are probably a bit more thick-skinned, since if when you're lining up outside of a club and you're freezing cold anyway, you get used to it.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Good point. Yeah, cool, man. Well, thank you for giving us that little bit of an insight there into kind of the cosplay process and all of that. Marquis is sticking around with us, so we're gonna move on and talk a little bit about a couple of the new trailers that have come out. You know, as Marquis said at the top of the show, she's kind of interested in anime and animation and animated series and things like that as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the big animated trailers that have come out recently, because we've missed quite a few of them. Now, granted, some of these we're really interested in and some of them not so much. So bear in mind that our takes on these trailers may be reflective of that. But you know what? We'll go into it anyway. So the big one that we got, which was released just today, in fact, was not even really an animation, but I guess is a live action version of an animation, which is Tim Burton's adaptation of Dumbo. So we got, I guess, I mean, they don't even release teaser trailers anymore. I guess this is a full trailer because it was like 2 minutes long, wasn't it? Yeah, but yeah, we got the first full trailer today. I thought it was pretty cool, although I kind of felt like I'd seen the movie already. I know you, you know, when we were talking off air, Marquis, you were saying you felt like you didn't get that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it looked pretty good. It was kind of what I expected. And I suppose I'm kind of looking forward to it, but I'll ask you too. Rich, did you get a chance to check out Dumbo, and you know, what did you think of it? Do you have any kind of expectations for the movie and where it's going to go?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I thought it was okay. To be fair, I think I've only seen the cartoon of Dumbo once, if I have seen it, and I'm not really a fan of it. To be fair, the trailer looked interesting. To be honest, give me 2 seconds. Sorry. Down now, get out. And to be fair, the one thing that did get me interested in wanting to see the film was when I saw Michael Keaton. I was like, hey, Michael Keaton and Tim Burton back together. like it's not Beetlejuice, but hey, I'll see it. So that was the main thing that got me interested in wanting to see it. And Colin Farrell, like I think Colin Farrell is somebody he's kind of revitalized his career in the past few years, since he left his bad boy ways behind a little while back, and you know, settled down and had a kid and whatnot. But in essence, I mean, like the whole story of like the flying elephant and the feather and that stuff, it just didn't do anything for me. And I think because I feel that way about the cartoon, I think that's also like kind of just followed on to like this live adaptation of the film. So I mean, it's probably something that I will have to see or will see because of obviously because of Luca. But I mean, I'm not excited to see it. I wouldn't say, oh yeah, I want to see it. And if anything, if I do want to see it, I'd only want to see it because of the crows. But you've told me that the crows aren't in it, so I have no need to see it. I want to see some good old racism up on my TV. So yeah. People are too easily offended these days, man. Come on.
Oh god.
No, listen, mate. No, Disney ain't stupid, bruv. They they were like, what's that? Oh, the crows are racist. Okay, let's just disappear the crows then. Yeah, nobody needs to know about that. There's a reason why you don't hear them talk about Song of the South no more, man. That they buried that in deep.
Yeah. deep south. They buried it in deep south.
They did. Yeah. They did. They buried that in the swamps in the south and was like, "Yep, put some bloody concrete in his boots and stick him down in the swamp so he could never resurface again." Marky, how about you, man? What did you think of Dumbo? Did you think it was a good trailer?
I thought it was cute, I guess. I I mean, the Dumbo animation itself looks pretty decent. The lion looked a bit dodgy, but apart from that, I mean, I'm gonna go with what Rich says. Like, I'm waiting for the crows to turn up because that's probably the main thing that I remember out of the animated thing at the movie. But to be honest, Dumbo's not high on my list on favorite Disney films, I have to say. So it's not really something I'm gonna be. I mean, I'll watch it like if it's on Sky Movies or something in a couple of years when it comes out, but I probably won't go out of my way to see it in the cinema. Like, I feel like there's some other movies they could probably do live action that doesn't, like, you know, Dumbo is not like the top of the list.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess for me, Dumbo's has a little bit more of a sentimental place in my heart because it's one of the Disney movies that I would be forced to watch religiously with my little sister when she was very young. And so there was Dumbo, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and The Lion King, and we watched those four.
Oh, Aladdin! Love that film. Love that film.
Those four. I always had to sit there and watch them with her. And if I tried to move, she would scream the place down. So I had to sit there and watch them all. But to be honest, I didn't have to try that hard because I'm slightly a Disney fan anyway, and always have been. But
yeah.
But yeah, Dumbo, it was never really kind of like high on my list, but I do think it's kind of a sweet story, and they look like they've kind of captured, as they've done with most of their live action adaptations so far, they look like they've kind of captured the spirit of the original cartoon. So that'll appeal. And you know, these live action remakes are making Disney a shit ton of money, so like they're gonna keep doing them. Like they're going to keep on coming. So whatever your favorite cartoon was from, that era, you're going to get a live action version of it guaranteed, I think. So yeah, we wait and see when that one comes out. I think that one is, am I right in saying the summer 2019? I think it's due.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's summer 2019.
When does it come out, before or after Aladdin?
Good question.
Before.
Actually. Yeah, because I think Aladdin comes out a bit later. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Aladdin is like October or November, something like that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll definitely go and watch Aladdin, but I don't know. Dumbo's just not high on the list at this moment in time. Definitely not high on the list.
Yeah.
But did you guys ever watch Hercules? That I always felt, just a bit sidetracked, I always felt Hercules was a very underrated Disney film, and I think that could do well as a live action. Could very well do well. Like I could recite that whole film like word for word and sing along to it. Like. It's a fantastic film. I feel they should live action that one. That would be great as like a musical.
Okay. Quick question. So who would you make as Hercules?
Who would I put as Hercules?
Just a quick brainstorm.
I don't know. I want fresh blood on the screen. So I'd have to tell them to you need to find somebody who's kind of like who's kind of skinny but not too skinny that he can't do the big beef up as he does it in the film in the animated kind of motion. So you'd have to do like you do like a Captain America on him, when they had him look really weedy and then had him buffed out as regular. So I want someone who's like that I don't know to just come on the screen and wow me. But then I think the characters such as like the muses and that could be proper like soul divas who actually have some standing. And they could do it because they're quite a prominent feature in the film anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would go with unknown if it was me as well. I don't think it works when you try and cast big names in these types of roles. You need somebody who's fresh to the audience, who doesn't come with no baggage, and somebody that they can take at face value and deal with from that point. I suppose if you had to pick somebody to answer Richard's question, probably maybe Zac Efron or someone like that. Possibly him because he kind of has the
and he can sing, sort of.
He can sing a bit.
Right,
He's good at looking. He's good at looking a bit vacant as well. So he can do that. So yeah,
and his comedic timing is really good as well. Like I
He is
think
actually, yeah,
he's
to
very
be
very
fair,
underrated as a comedian, as a
yeah,
comedian or comedic actor.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor actually. Once I started watching him outside of the High School Musical lot, I realized he actually has quite a good talent. He just needs some more serious roles, I think, and that will really push him as an actor.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, we got a bit sidetracked there.
My fault.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Back to trailers.
No, it's cool, man. I mean, we always try and make time for a little bit of sidetracking, but I've just got to bring us back on the tracks every now and again. So yeah, the next trailer we can talk about was Toy Story 4, which is one that it's funny because if you go by social media, Toy Story 4 is on the one hand really anticipated, but on the other hand, there's like this whole group of people going, why are you making a Toy Story 4? Because, the ending of Toy Story 3 was so perfect that there was really, it kind of felt like that was a genuine conclusion to that story and that there was no need to kind of go any further. So for me, I'm kind of curious to see, where they're going to go, because the Toy Story series is, for me, it's one of the best movie trilogies ever in terms of the quality of each film, just getting better and better and better as they went along. It's amazing, So yeah, I was quite surprised when they said they were going to do a fourth one, but then I suppose because it makes so much money, they were always going to do a fourth one anyway. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of a fourth Toy Story now, and that trailer that we got just seemed to capture everything that we love about the original Toy Story series. So I'm pretty much sold on it, to be honest. But what about you two? I mean, Marks, are you a big fan of Toy Story? Did you enjoy the Toy Story trilogy, and what do you make of Toy Story 4?
Yeah, I mean, Toy Story itself was pretty groundbreaking as a film anyway. I think it was one of the first fully CGI'd film. Didn't it take them like quite a few years to make the first one? Yeah, it was very, for that in that respect alone, I mean, it is pretty groundbreaking. I loved Buzz and Woody, they're fantastic characters. Mr. Potato Head, you can still remember all of them off the top of your head years and years later. I felt quite nostalgic when I watched number 3. I was a bit shocked when they said they were going to do a 4. I'm like how much more can you push Woody and Buzz? Like, let's be realistic here, innit? And then I literally only, because me, I don't really watch trailers, and if I do watch them, I've watched them by accident in the cinema. So I watched the little short that they did today, and from the Duck and the Bunny, at the fair, and the dialogue between them seemed very grown up for a Toy Story film. So I'm wondering how, one, are these two characters actually going to be in the film, or are they just kind of there for the short, like a thing? They're just doing a thing in it, or because if that's going to be the dialogue throughout the whole film, what's their real target audience here? Because kids are not going to understand what these two are talking about, and it was always very strange, very funny to me that I have my younger cousins when they're running around with Buzz and Lightyear, and I'm Buzz Lightyear as toys, and I'm like, you lot literally just saw number 3 and have run away with this. Like, you don't know the whole. There's 2 other movies here that you haven't seen. So I always find it quite. I just don't really understand what they're gonna do with it. Like, where are they gonna go with Toy Story 4? I'd probably need to. They're probably going to release another trailer, so I guess we'll find out a little bit more about the actual storyline eventually. But it looks interesting for now.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I feel like it's kind of managed to capture the kind of spirit of the original trilogy. And I guess like you, I felt like I was a bit like, oh, where do we go from here? Because I said the ending is of Toy Story 3 is so perfect, so it seems strange that they've gone back to the well again. But the new characters are called Ducky and Bunny, and they're voiced by Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele. So American listeners will know who they are. That's Key and Peele, the popular comedians who had a show on Comedy Central. And Jordan Peele is a name you'll recognize, as he was the director of Get Out. And yeah, you know, they've kind of seemed to have been able to work their particular comedy shtick into these characters. But as you said, there's kind of an adult vibe with them, which is a bit. It takes you back a bit when you first see it in the trailer, you know. But be interested to see how they kind of fit in and stuff. Rich, you're the only one here who's got a kid, so we need to ask you this one. How does Luca kind of react to Toy Story? Is he a fan of that at all? And do you think he'd be interested in Toy Story 4?
There was a point when he was into it, and then he just left it behind. And then, and the only thing he really goes back to now is usually The Incredibles, Big Hero 6. Well, I mean, this is from Pixar. But we haven't watched Toy Story in a good little while. And to be fair, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I mean, there's 3 Toy Story films. I don't think I've even seen all 3 of them. Like, I enjoy watching them, but it's weird. I've never been that person to, once again, to be like, oh my god, like Toy Story, yeah, I can't wait. But then when I watch it, I think I saw which one. I think I saw the 3rd one, which is the one where they're trying to sneak around, and the security guard is a monkey.
Toy Story 3.
Listen, that one gave me that gave me joy. That gave me joy. That monkey had me.
Brilliant. Yeah. That scene is brilliant.
That monkey had me. So I mean, it's weird because I saw the 2 trailers. I saw the Ducky and Bunny one yesterday, and I saw the other one the day before. And I actually, the teaser one where it's them doing the whole where they're all holding hands and it's like the spoon that's been made up to be a toy. I mean, it had a nostalgic feeling for me because I was like, oh, I know who they are and I know the story behind them. But once again, like I said, because I've seen number 3. I've seen number 3 because Andy gives the toys away at the end and everything. I remember now. And I remember I slightly cried. So the same thing. Like, I remember reading about them making number 4. And then seeing the teaser for it and going like, why? Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do. But then when I watched the Ducky and Bunny, I was like, yeah, this is funny. Like this is actually really cool. And the weakest, maybe I'm being a bit too much of a critic, but the weakest part of that Ducky and Bunny teaser trailer is when Buzz and Woody come into it. Like up until that point, I was like, yeah, like they just seem to be really, they like, the Ducky and Bunny, like, is Key and Peele. They've been working together for years, so you can see that we had it going back and forth, and I loved it. And then when Buzz and Woody came in, it almost spoiled the flow for me, and I was like, yeah, really, I don't know. I probably will see it because it's a cartoon and it's merchandise, and Luca probably won't leave me alone until I take him. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well, listeners, let us know what you thought of Toy Story 4 as well, and if you're excited for it. We'll let you know at the end of the podcast how you can get in touch with us, so make sure you listen on to the end of the recording, and you'll find out all of the details there. We've got another animated trailer as well that came out recently. Now, admittedly, I didn't see this, so Rich, you're going to have to take the reins on this one. But I know this was one that you took Luca to see when the original came out, and he enjoyed it and you enjoyed it. So I feel you should take the floor with this one, and that's The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Oh Jesus! Like you're building me up. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? I haven't done no research. Okay. Now Secret Life of Pets. Now see, that's funny. I always get like DreamWorks, Disney, Pixar, all of those people mixed up. But I think Secret Life of Pets is done by DreamWorks. Yeah, I think. Is it DreamWorks?
I think it might be Illumination. Hold on, I'll check.
Or Illumination, yeah. There's so many animation houses these days. But Secret Life of Pets, the first one, listen, that film is serious. Too much joke. Kevin Hart kills it. In fact, everybody in that film kills it. And this second one, like I was saying, is like you see the trailer for Secret Life of Pets 2. And it's basically you get reintroduced to the character of Max, who's played by C.K. Lewis in the first one, and I think also in the second.
Louis C.K. Yeah, it's
Louis C.K.
Illumination.
It's Illumination. Okay, no,
Yeah.
you got to say it properly though. It's not illumination. It's
Illumination.
There you go. And it's banana. Oh man! In fact, before I even continue with the whole trailer, let me tell you something. Despicable Me 3 had me and the boy for a good few months just walking around talking like minions. I'm not even gonna lie, I was proud. He was walking around just falling down for no reason and talking like a minion. I was busting up. I was like, yeah, that's my boy. But yeah, so back to the teaser. So and you're reintroduced to the character of Max, and his owner, who didn't really play a big part in the first film, seems to have a bit of a bigger part in this trailer, and she takes him to the vet, and he ends up basically meeting all these other animals in the vet, and some of them start off being normal, and then basically you find out that going to the vet is quite a traumatic experience for some of these animals. So there's one cat in particular that Max starts talking to, and the cat starts saying, "Oh yeah, I'm really really cool and everything." And then you find out that the cat is hypersensitive, and and suffering from anxiety, and starts grabbing onto its owner and saying, "Why don't you love me? Why don't you love me?" And then you see a couple of other animals there that Max interacts with, and he's just like, "Yeah, I don't want to be here." But it just felt there was just something about it. It just felt just really familiar, and I think it's because at the end of Secret Life of Pets, there's a nice ending to that part of the story, instead of a closing, which is what we got from Toy Story 3, which is the reason why the Toy Story 4 teaser trailer doesn't do anything for me, because as far as I'm concerned, the story's been told. But one thing that I have found really, really interesting is that something they're doing for Toy Story 4 and the same thing for Secret Life of Pets 2, they're going to be releasing character trailers. So whereas with like Toy Story 4, you got the Duck and Bunny teaser trailer, they're going to be releasing other trailers for other characters in the film, and they're actually going to be doing the same thing for Secret Life of Pets too. So I'm actually quite interested to see if they're going to be just introducing new characters, or they're going to be bringing in characters from that you saw from the first one. But I'm super excited for this. And I mean, Secret Life of Pets. I mean, let's put it this way: Illumination are really starting to cement themselves as like a really good animation house. At some point it was just Pixar that was just killing it, but Illumination is doing really, really well. DreamWorks seeming to be doing really, really well as well. So yeah, this one I can't wait to see. I'm actually really, really excited.
Cool, man. Well, you've sold me, so yeah, I'll go and check it out. Marquita, were you familiar with Secret Life of Pets? Did you watch the original? And
no, I didn't. It was one of those movies I wanted to watch, but I just never quite got around to it. But it sounds like it's pretty good, so I might try and get a watch of the first one over the next couple of months, and then see when the second one comes out. Probably watch that as well.
Okay, cool. I've got Spies in Disguise on my list. I thought that was bizarre. I don't even know what to make of what I saw there. Marquita, I know that you I sense that you kind of have a few thoughts on this one.
I love it.
I'll take the lead on that one, but yeah.
Like, I love it. I was on Facebook and I saw it come up, and it was like Will Smith and Tom Holland, and I'm like, hold on, why is Will Smith making a movie with Tom Holland? I didn't even realize that they were making other films aside from Will Smith jumping out of airplanes and Tom Holland in Spider-Man. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, start watching it. It's the animated, it's very Will Smith, cool, suave. And then next thing you know, he's a pigeon. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? It was just so random. Like, I wasn't expecting any of it. And then when he's fighting the female pigeon off of him, I'm like, it's Will Smith, but he's a pigeon. Like, it just doesn't. There was so much going on. I didn't know how to feel, but I definitely need to watch that film. Like, because I don't understand how we got from sexy, cool Will Smith to sexy, cool pigeon Will Smith. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm definitely going to watch that. That looks so, and it took me completely, like, it shocked me because I would never, I don't know why, I don't think I would have expected to see Tom Holland and Will Smith in a film together. Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. Cause I'm definitely down for it. I'm gonna watch it. It looks like it's just gonna be hilarious.
Cool, man. Cool. Rich, did you want to add anything to that? Because I have nothing to add. Because I said that trailer just baffled me. So, like, yeah.
You know, I can add the same thing. I saw Will Smith, I saw Tom Holland, and I was like, what? And live action? I was like, no. And then animation. I was like, oh wow. And I didn't finish the trailer. Like, you know what it was? No, seriously, you know what it was? He got changed into the pigeon. I was like, what? Listen, let me turn this off. I was just like, yeah, I just couldn't handle it, man. I was like, what nonsense is this?
Just get vexed.
It's just
Yeah,
weird.
I just got mad from nowhere. I was like, what? He just threw a pen. Yeah, so I haven't finished the trailer. And I'm not even joking. I threw a pen. I saw this at work. It was on my phone, like, you know, it popped up on, like, you know, somebody posted in one of the groups, and it was out the corner of my eye, and then, like, literally he changed to a pigeon. I was like, yeah, I'm done. So I think I'll wait for more trailers to come out for that and read a bit more about it before I get to it. But as it stands right now, this is not for me.
Okay. Cool. Fair enough. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll move on from that because I said I have nothing to add, listeners. Sorry, so you're not really gonna get anything out of me on that one. So we are gonna talk about. We'll go to Into the Spider-Verse, the final trailer. Now, for me, I mean, for those of you listening to the podcast, you know, we talked about the original teaser trailer launch when that came out a couple of months ago. I was sold from then. When the second trailer came out, where they did the reveal of Spider-Gwen, I was sold again. Now we've got a final trailer, which is introducing us to Spider-Ham and Spider-Man Noir and everybody else. And, like, I'm so ready for this film. Like, I literally am like, just put me in the cinema now, and I'll sit down in the cinema and I'll wait till December until that film comes on, or whatever shit I have to watch in the meantime. I'll watch all that shit in the meantime, and I'm good because I need to see this movie. So, I've got nothing else to add apart from that. Like, just bring me the film. I'm my body's ready, my mind's ready, my soul is ready. But yeah, I mean, Rich and Marquita, are you this hyped for Into the Spider-Verse, or am I just being silly because I'm a silly Spider-Man fan? I don't know.
You can go first, Marquita.
I'm here for it. Like, I quite like. I wasn't too sure about the animation style when I saw the first trailer, and then I've gotten used to it now by the last one that I watched in the cinema. I think the other day when I went to see Assassination Nation. It just reminded me of, because you all know that I love Lego games, so it just reminds me of Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, where, like, all the worlds are colliding and all the Spider-Men are all in one room, because there's literally missions that I play on that game where I've got like 3 or 4 Spider-Men that I have to switch between. So to me, I was just like, I'm watching the game in a movie. Well, not quite, but that's what it felt like to me, like all the mishmash of the world. So I'm here for it. It looks pretty funny. And Spider-Ham, I mean, it's just, I don't know who decided that Spider-Man should be a pig. At what point in time that somebody was like, yay, let's do that. But that's really funny to me.
Mm-hmm. Rich, where did Spider-Ham come from? Because I can't remember exactly like when Spider-Ham was introduced. I think it was like the early 80s, but am I wrong?
Yeah. No. Yeah, yes, it's the 80s. No, it's literally... He comes from a universe where basically it's anamorph. You know that word where it means where the,
yeah. I know what you mean.
Anthropomorphic, is that the word? No.
I don't know. I don't know. Show off.
Anyway,
I don't know. Show off. Like animal people. Yeah. And basically, and it's a universe where all of the characters are animals. So I think like the Punisher might be like a cow or something like that, and then obviously you've got Peter Porker, as Spider-Ham, and I think if I remember correctly, I mean, this is years ago. It actually started off as just a parody, part of a parody comic, and then it actually got quite popular. And then, like, you know, then where in recent years they've really started to feed into the fact that, you know, there's Earth 616, you know, and you know, then Earth this one and Earth that one, and they're like, okay, well, this one actually exists. So, like the first teaser trailer for this film, I wasn't that impressed. That the animation, I don't know, it threw me off ever so slightly. It almost seemed like it was slightly glitchy.
Yeah.
And I remember Alvin saying when we did review the teaser trailer, where he was saying, well, they probably haven't even finished making the film yet. There's probably a couple of tweaks. And I think he may be right, because when I did see the final trailer, even though it's still that kind of stop animation that stop start animation thing, it does feel a lot smoother. But I've been sold on this movie from the time when I heard the title of it. I knew what it was going to be about, because the actual story itself is part of an ongoing storyline which is happening in Marvel Comics, which started a couple of years ago anyway. So I was super excited, and I think I mentioned this. I mentioned it yesterday, and I also mentioned it in when we did a review for the teaser trailer, in which basically Marvel Comics have created something called the Spider-Verse. So and that ties into like the way how the Marvel universe is actually set up in itself anyway. So basically, any type of Spider-Man that you've ever seen or watched or bought belongs to an actual universe. So Tobey Maguire Spider-Man belongs to a particular universe. Tom Holland Spider-Man belongs to a particular universe. Spider-Man from Japan belongs to a particular universe. And I was just like, yeah, wow, I'm sold on that, because the original storyline that took place a couple of years ago, the sequel to the storyline is actually happening right now, and both of them are just amazing stories. So you've got that, and then obviously you've got the whole thing of you know, Miles Morales, the black Spider-Man, or the mixed raced Spider-Man of
he's
color.
half Spanish, isn't he?
Yeah, the half Latino, half black, being the main hero. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff going for this, and this teaser trailer just seems to be ticking the boxes for everybody. Like I said, you've got Spider-Man Noir, you've got Spider, which is like the Spider Girl and the robot that she controls, Spider-Ham. Then you've got Spider-Gwen. Yeah, I think this is really going to do well in the cinema. If just by going off the characters they're bringing in, let alone not even knowing what the story is about. So I'm super excited. I'm sold.
Yeah, same here, man. As I said, like, I was sold from the day they announced this movie. I was like, yep, I'm in. And then the trailers just got better and better as they came out. So yeah, that'll do for me. Well, lastly, we're gonna move on to a trailer which, boy, I mean, I remember Alvin and I did a podcast earlier in the year, this year, one of the episodes when Richard couldn't make it, and I remember us talking about this movie because it was announced, and us both kind of going, what the actual fuck? And we got our first trailer this week for it, and that's Detective Pikachu. Now, yeah, Detective Pikachu is the most obscure thing that they could have decided to make a live action, big budget Hollywood version of. Because Detective Pikachu, as I understand it, is an animated spin-off of the Pokemon series that I think they only made like, I can't remember how many episodes it was but it's not a lot. I think it was like 10 or 15 episodes of this weird kind of offshoot anime spin-off where Pikachu is a master detective who goes around solving crimes and things like that. And you're thinking, like, really, Pikachu? Like, Pikachu is going around solving crimes? Like, and I never actually saw an episode of Detective Pikachu. I knew it existed, but I never saw it because I was just like, what the hell am I watching that for? Like,
wait, it was a TV series? I thought it was just a game.
Yeah, no, they had an actual series for it as well. So I was like, what the hell am I bothering with that for? So it just seems like so obscure. And the movie trailer we got this week was really funny. And I was like, oh my God, like, how the hell have they pulled this off? I don't understand. Like, how? Somebody explain it to me. So I saw that trailer and I think, Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu is an absolute masterstroke. I don't know like how they managed to convince him to do that, but they did. Maybe it was big bags of money. Maybe he's just got like a twisted sense of humor and it's just like fuck it. But he's perfect for it. The Pokemon all look kind of slightly creepy in real world, but like Charizard looks nuts. I was like, no,
he looks good.
That looks super creepy.
He looks good.
Man. Super creepy. Jigglypuff looks like proper scary as well. Like that bit when Jigglypuff's on the table and it's just like kind of screwing out the camera. I was like, allow it, man. That's freaking me out. But you know what? I think this might actually work. And it's got Richard, it's got our guy from the Get Down, Justice Smith.
Yeah, Justice Smith. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this might work. I think, you know, when somebody says, you know what, this plan is so crazy, I think it might just work.
Yeah.
I think I think that might be the case with Detective Pikachu. Marquita, you're a big anime fan, and I know you're a Pokemon fan as well. So were you taken aback by this trailer, or did you buy into it?
I was shocked, but I loved it because for some reason I didn't even know they were making it. One, and then when he opened his mouth and I heard Ryan Reynolds' voice, I was sold. That was it. I was just like, Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu, and this is brilliant. And I don't know why, never in a million years would I've ever thought, do you know what? Who would make a good Pikachu voice? Ryan Reynolds. It's just brilliant, and I loved it. I thought the trailer was really good. I thought the animation was, I mean, it's Pokemon. I don't really understand how you're going to get much better than pretty much what they're giving us. Charizard looked amazing. Mr. Mime, his face looks really creepy, but he was really funny as well. I just thought it just looks. I wasn't expecting anything when you shared it with us. I was just like, oh, what the hell is this now? What have they done? And I was like, it looks like it's just going to be amazing. And this purely on the fact, even if the animation was shite, I would watch it just because it's Ryan Reynolds' voice coming out of Pikachu.
Yeah, it's mad. It's totally mad,
I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah. Rich, how about you, man? I mean, I know you're not a massive Pokemon fan, but did that trailer, I guess as a neutral, did that trailer do anything for you about selling this movie, or did you just think it was nuts?
Nah, sold. But same thing. Well, the thing you said that I'm not much of a Pikachu fan. I think that's even an understatement. I was never a fan of Pikachu. Pokemon. Like full stop. Like a couple of like family members were, but I think I've seen maybe a bit of an episode, and that was it. Never been a fan, but saw this and was like, yeah, this looks good. But like you said, it's just that, you know, whoever must have come up with the idea was you know, drunk and high at the same time with a little smidgen of LSD. He wrote it down, handed it into somebody, and somehow that got to some high executive who was probably off his face as well, and said, yeah, you know what, I like this kid, let's make this film. And then they said, yeah, let's get Ryan Reynolds. But for me, I mean Justice Smith, he's a guy that I've been watching since the Get Down, and it seems that his choice of roles seems to be getting, I wouldn't say that he's broadening his acting skills, but he seems to be getting a lot more comfortable on screen with each role that I see him in. And so his is actually a career that I've actually been following. So I'm looking forward to see how he deals with this. But you know, like both of you have said, Ryan Reynolds, that's it. Like I think if there's one thing that he's good at doing, it's talking. Like if you look at the majority of the films where he's actually done a good job, when you look at the character that he's played, it's always played to his strength, and it's like it's talking, it's ad-libbing. I mean, whether you're a fan of his or not, I mean, you look at something like, let's say, Van Wilder, Part of Liaison, or you do, or two guys, a girl, and a pizza place, those type of things.
Fast Talker.
Fuck it. Yeah. Deadpool. Look at Deadpool. Or I think one of his best films that he's ever done was a film called Buried, where it's him just in a coffin where it's him basically trying to get out, and he's stuck in a coffin in somewhere in Afghanistan, and all he's got is a lighter and a mobile phone, and it's him talking for an hour and a half. It's not a funny film, but it's him just just acting and just talking. Yeah, so I was just really I'm sold. Like he just seems to be just doing Ryan Reynolds, but just coming out from Pikachu, which I find crazy and funny at the same time. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to see it. I'm still not going to watch the cartoon because it's just not my thing, but I will go and see this movie.
Yeah, man. I think that's how a lot of people feel. Even the people I know who don't know anything about Pokemon and aren't really fans. They watched that trailer and were like, you know what, this is weird, but I'm gonna go see it because it's so weird. So they might well be onto a winner with that one. So Detective Pikachu, I think, is also due out next year. I think it's early summer that one's due out. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how well that does, and where they market it and where they go with it. So yeah, that'll be it. Well, that's it for the trailer talk. And I guess we're going to be heading towards the end of the episode. But before we go, because we've got Marquita with us today on this episode, and she's been such a great sport as well. Marquita, I just wanted to give you 5 minutes so you could make some anime recommendations for some of our listeners out there, because we get a lot of people listening to us who are asking us to talk about anime and things like that. And at the moment, I'm just all about Attack on Titan and nothing else. So unless it's Attack on Titan, I'm useless to everybody. But yeah, just give us kind of a couple of recommendations, if you don't mind, for animes out there for people who are interested in checking out something new, maybe, or something that came out recently.
Yeah, sure. At the moment, the full 2018 anime selection hasn't been that great, I must say. I mean, I've only been watching maybe one or two, let's just say two, that are actually really good. One of them is called Rascal Does Not Dream of a Bunny Girl. It's like a slice of life, kind of a school-based one, but the main character isn't some wimpy guy like they like to usually have in these animes that just makes you cringe. Like, he's actually got some confidence. And it's about something weird in Japan called adolescence syndrome. I don't really get it, but it unfolds really nicely. The relationships develop quite nicely. They're on episode 7 now, and that's quite good. Then the other one that's out this fall that I recommend is Goblin Slayer. Warning on that, it does deal with some really heavy topics such as rape. So if you're someone who doesn't deal well with those kind of topics, I wouldn't watch it, but it is pretty good and pretty intense. Other than that, this year, Attack on Titan's been great. That's so much headology. Like, it's one of those animes you just have to sit and stare at the screen. Otherwise, if you blink, you're just going to miss something, and then you got to rewind it, and you don't know what's going on now.
Yep. I can second that.
Yeah. Megalobox was a fun favorite for me this year, which is about what I found out, it's actually based on an anime that came out, I think, quite a few years ago. It's like a remake.
I actually need to watch it. You recommended it to me before, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a boxing style anime. I don't usually watch sport based anime, to be honest. It's not usually up my street, but this was really good. And basically, it's about boxing, but they have these like they're called megalobox systems that you attach to your arms, and it just makes you stronger. And it's really good. What else was there this year that was quite good for me? Overlord. Started watching that. It's on season 3 this year, actually. So I watched it from season 1. It's out. It's dubbed too, and it's a really good dub, in my opinion. That is really funny. It's basically a guy gets trapped inside of a game. There's a lot of animes based on this, where people get trapped inside of games. I don't understand why, but it's actually really good. Most of them can end up quite cringy, but this one's, the action's very good. The storyline's quite good as well. He's basically trying to run around, find his other, his in his guild. He's trying to see if any of his other characters or his other friends that he made in his guild got trapped in the game with him. So he's basically trying. So that's it's pretty good. The animation's fantastic. The storyline's good as well. It's very. His character's quite cold-hearted, and I think that's no nonsense, and I think that's why it's a good anime. It's not wishy-washy, and it doesn't kind of just like you don't have a main character who's umming and ahhing 24/7 over things. So that's why I like that one. What else was good this year? I tried to watch Tokyo Ghoul, Ari, the new one, but to be honest, it took way too long to get into it. I mean, if you're a fan of Tokyo Ghoul, give it a whirl, maybe you'll like it. But for me, it's just taken way too long to get interesting, and even now it's interesting, it's still not really grabbing my attention or holding me. But I'm watching it purely for the sake of, I've seen it, let me watch it, I just need to finish it. if that makes sense. My Hero Academy is another really good one that's been running for quite a while now. Season 3 came out this year, and
hold on. So is it My Hero Academy or My Hero Academia? Are they the same thing?
Okay, no. In English, it's My Hero Academy.
Yeah.
In the Japanese, it's Boku no Hero Academia. That's why it's a bit.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah. And then what else did we have this? Some of my favorites, they didn't really come out this year, but if you haven't heard of it, the Monogatari series, I was just reminded of this a couple of weeks ago, actually. It's a really obscure anime, but it's animated very bizarrely and it's very fast paced. But once you start watching it, it's one of those ones that you really want to binge. But it is it's quite heavy. It's quite heavy on the brain. So if you need to make sure you're actually fully paying attention, because when whilst they're talking, there's also writing going on in the background on the screen. So sometimes you have to pause it to read what's going on to start playing again. But it's really, it's really good. I recommend it. And if you another favorite of mine from this year was Happy Sugar Life, which really took me by surprise. It was just like a pink-haired girl who was just every other episode was killing someone. It was just really bizarre. And then she was holding this really young girl captive in an apartment. Very, very strange. Very, very good though. And apparently the manga was even more sort of heart-wrenching than the actual anime itself. So I've started trying to read that, and as and when I have time. Yeah, that's about it for.
Okay. That last one sounds a little bit like Perfect Blue. So is it kind of like that same type of psychological thriller type genre? It's strange because it starts it's psychological, but it starts at the end and then goes back in time. Right.
To lead you up to the point where, in the first episode, you see them and she's standing on a roof with the little girl and the whole building's on fire. And you're like, how the hell is everything on fire already? And then it kind of does a rewind. And then by the end of the season, you realize, oh, so this is how they got to being on top of the roof and everything's on fire. Again, there are some strong themes in there, such as molestation and that. So if you don't do too well with those topics, I wouldn't watch it. But other than that, it's pretty. I found it very heavy. You do feel quite sad for the girl, the main character, by the end of it. And if I was reading reviews on the because they usually have a comment section after you've watched that episode and people talking, and a lot of the comments were they cut out quite a large chunk of the manga that would explain why the main character is doing what she's doing, and now it's much more poignant to really fully understand it. So that's why I've started reading it, just to try and get a bit more a feel of the character, because it was really it was really good. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks for that, Marquita. Well, there you go, listeners. For those of you who are looking for more anime and for fresh anime to check out, make sure you go and look up those recommendations. I guess they're all available sort of in the usual places. So on Kiss Anime and Crunchyroll and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, Crunchyroll, Funimation has some of them. Actually, there's one which I'll tell you guys, which is really funny. Cells at Work. I don't remember do you guys remember there used to be a program called How My Body Works that we had over here? Years and years ago.
It rings a bell.
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. So Cells at Work is basically the Japanese version of How My Body Works, and it is fantastic. Like, it started in the summer. I've been watching it. It's scientifically accurate so far that I can see, and it's just fun. It's basically based around a red blood cell and a white blood cell just running around the body in different areas of the body. It's so well done, and I absolutely love it. It's just so funny. If you have anything to watch, just watch that. It is wicked. That's my favorite one so far.
Cool, wicked.
Okay, yeah, that one sounds interesting. Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird, but it's because when I was watching it, I was thinking, oh, this is like How My Body Works, but it's the Japanese version. It's fantastic. It's really well animated. The characters, like, they have their own personalities, and you're just learning about the body basically as they're running around and trying. She basically is a red blood cell who keeps getting lost. So as she gets lost and she walks past all the wrong body systems, they take an episode and explain what each system does. I thought it was quite clever, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I might actually look that one up. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll look that one up. Lovely. All right. Well, we're going to have to draw this episode to a close now. But Marquita, thank you so much for coming on and for joining us on the show.
Definitely.
Yeah, man, it's been wicked, really. Where can people, follow you on social media and have a chat with you about anime and stuff?
My main social media that I use the most is Instagram, at Yellow Rage Attacks, and then ever so often I'll tweet, and my Twitter is just at Yellow Rage, no attacks. Yeah, that's where you can find me. And so ever so often I'll usually at the beginning of each anime season, I've started now posting like my favorites after I've watched a few episodes, so you can always have a scroll through and see what I've recommended as well.
Cool. Awesome. And as mentioned earlier, she does often put up pictures of her cosplays and her projects in progress with her cosplay as well. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure you give her a follow on Instagram to check those out as well. But yeah, man, it's been a real pleasure having you. So thank you very much. I hope you'll be back with us again soon at some point.
Yep, definitely.
You've behaved yourself enough for us not to have to kick you out. So we'll bring you along for another episode for sure. Absolutely. But yeah, we're gonna go, listeners, because we've been here for a while and I'm dying for a wee, so I need to go. So I'm gonna say goodnight. Rich Kid, say goodnight.
Wee.
Stop it. If you keep talking about it, it makes it worse. And Marquita, say goodnight.
Good night.
And we're out of here. We'll see you next week, people. Peace.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to us. If you're down with Wulong Talks, show some love by following us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Wulong Talks. You can also find us online at www.wulongtalks.com or drop us an email at wulongtalkspodcast@gmail.com. We can also be found as part of the Britpod Scene Collective, and we're also officially E14 endorsed. Search for those hashtags to enjoy more content from us and from other great British podcasters.